What's up, everybody? Let me know in the chat if you can hear me. All right. Tonight, we're drinking Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, an absolute classic beer. Definitely in my top 5. Definitely in my top 5 beers. Just because it's consistent. I was looking for something like IPA, but not super heavy IPA. And it just comes in right underneath that. I know exactly what I'm getting. Just a delicious beer. Shout out to Sierra Nevada. All right, what's everyone drinking? Let me know. Got a new laptop from the New York Times, so that's why the picture looks so clear right now. Don't have any glare or anything. We're coming on up. Rocking the Rose Lavelle jersey. Shout out Rose Lavelle. All right, we got a High Life. Guinness, can't go wrong with a Guinness. Just let everyone know that we're live. What else we got? Coors Banquet. Love that. I think that's the beer I bought when I didn't have beer in Denver, and I went to like a 7-Eleven at like 11:30 p.m. and I think I bought a Coors Banquet. Was soccer my first sport? Yeah. Yeah, it was. Either that or skiing. I started skiing when I was like 3 or 4. Started playing soccer around that time, yeah. I was a keeper. Still play a little bit. I'm in a co-ed league in Marina Del Rey. Obviously not during the season, but I play on Sundays during the off season. Kahlua and coffee. We got a Sapporo. Love a little Sapporo with some sushi. Now I got the dual screens going too. So I got the Monday night game going here. We're coming up in the world. We're coming on up. Station 26 Tangerine Cream. Sounds good. Is that a beer? All day IPA. That's Founders, right? Great beer. Hot Toddy. Can't go wrong with that. 805 Cerveza. It's a great one. I love the classic 805 too. Jägermeister on a Monday night. Shout out to you, Haas44. Classic Bud Light. Bud Light is my go-to. Like when I have a Sunday off, and I can just sit down and watch football, I get a case of Bud Light. Like it's just brings back memories. Got a Diet Pepsi, Drano. That'll get you going. A little Busch. Dr. Pepper, Good Behavior IPA. I've never heard of that one. Joseph wants to get right into questions. We will have plenty of time to get into questions. We're talking about beers right now. 2 Four Locos. Honestly, I don't know like the age demographic of the people in here, but back when I was like in high school, Four Loko like had caffeine in it. Like it was intense. The watered down version of Four Loko is just not the same. Sam Adams Winter Lager. That's a classic Christmas time beer. Not a huge Sam Adams guy. I don't know. A lot of people like it, but I've never been a fan. There's always like something a little bit off with all their beers. I don't know what it is. Voodoo Ranger Juice Force. Voodoo Ranger's a great brewery. Space Dust. That's number 1. Always number 1 for me. Mad Dog 2020. Drank a lot of Mad Dog in college. I don't know if that was like a Maryland thing or what that was, but I look like a Pabst Blue Ribbon type of guy, hipster. Honestly, you're not wrong. There used to be this bar. Like branches on my hat. I walked through a tree earlier. It used to be this bar on the Lower East Side that was walking distance from my apartment in Manhattan $5 for a PBR and a whiskey shot. And it was super hipster. So you're not wrong. We got Larry drinking a White Russian straight out of the Big Lebowski. So are we done with the soccer rant yet? We haven't even started with the soccer rant. I am so disappointed. I'm watching this game and I don't understand why Gio Reyna isn't starting, first of all. And I'm like, okay, he must not be fit. Or they're worried that playing 3 games, such a tight window, he's had hamstring issues. And then they bring Jordan Morris on in like the 80th minute. And I'm like, okay, he has to be hurt. And then Gio comes out after the game and says he's 100%. What are we doing? What are we doing? I literally think he's our most skilled player, and he doesn't get any playing time in the game that you draw 1-1. You need a goal at the end. What are we doing, Greg Berhalter? What are we doing? Get that guy on the field. All right, it wasn't 10 minutes, but I got it out of my system. Ay. It's just like, it's not, it doesn't feel like it's that hard. Play your best players. Now, I will give him credit. Josh Sargent started him up top and had great hold-up play on the Tim Weah goal. Started Tim Weah on the wing. I mean, Tim Weah is a rising star. He's unbelievable. I thought Christian played really well. So I didn't think it was really a bad starting lineup. Brendan Aronson is going to be great off the bench just with his energy, his ability to press, create turnovers. But not playing Gio is like, I just can't wrap my mind around it. All right. We've got people in here. Let's start talking about some Chargers. All right. So obviously rewatched the game today. I dug pretty deep into the stats. I wrote it last night. I understand that there are injuries defensively. You're down Bosa, you're down JC Jackson, but you've invested so much. You're down Austin Johnson. I mean, obviously some injuries there, but you've invested so much in this defense. You invested in a coach that was regarded as, a defensive mastermind, and you can't get a stop there when you absolutely need it. I know it's Patrick Mahomes. I know the Chiefs have the best offense in football, but it felt like there were opportunities there to win that game at the end. Obviously, you get the holding call on Derwin on 3rd and 4. I thought it was by the book, a good call, but I didn't feel like the refs were calling it that way. Brandon Staley said today that, he thought there was that Bryce Callahan was pushed off there on that first play of the drive to Valdez-Scantling. There was no replay on the TV broadcast, so I'm going to have to watch that on film. I have no opinion on that because I literally couldn't see it on the TV broadcast. And I saw it live. It looked like Bryce's momentum was carrying him down the field, but I didn't actually see any push off live. So we'll have to see. But, the killer play was the first down scramble for 16 yards. Morgan Fox and Sebastian Joseph Day run into each other. They're trying to twist. They're discombobulated. It opens up a gap in the middle. Mahomes scrambles for 16 yards. And then, on the touchdown, Derwin had played Travis Kelce well all game. 3 third downs, he'd been matched up with him, and he'd locked him down. He hadn't given up a reception to Kelce all day, went in coverage on him, and he just got beat there. It was a rub play, a pick play, classic mesh play, 2 crossers. I mean, stuff you'd run on your Thanksgiving, 2-hand touch game where you just run crossers over the middle. Derwin hesitates, and Kelce comes open. Just didn't make a play when you needed him to make a play. And, you think about it afterwards and you say, okay, that's our best player, our best coverage player on their best receiver. And that's as much as you can do. Now, like, I understand, do you double Travis Kelce there? No one talked about there being any help. I don't know if Nas Adderley was supposed to help there based on the coverage. No one is saying that publicly. Derwin has taken responsibility for it, but no, he got beat there. Got beat there in man coverage for a touchdown. And then just overall, just so many issues defensively. The run defense was atrocious. I mean, that's just kind of what it is at this point. They don't have the players in the interior with all these injuries, and Kyle Van Noy sort of is what he is on the edge. He's not Joey Bosa, and so teams have just been running at him and been very successful. And they just weren't able to get off the field on third down. Obviously, that 3rd and 17 is just like, I mean, I looked into the numbers and it's hard to wrap your mind around. They've had 18 defensively, they've had 18 3rd and 11 pluses this year, and they've allowed conversions on 9 of them. 2 of those were penalties. 50% conversion rate on 3rd and 11 plus. That's last in the league by a wide margin. 32nd of the Chargers at 50%. The 31st ranked team is the Falcons at 33%. They're worse on 3rd and 11 plus than they are on 3rd and 1 to 10. That's how bad it's been this season. And so you give up a 3rd and 17 there. You give up a 3rd and 7. The Chiefs are able to score on that drive. You had him backed up there, and then Kelce comes open on a crosser with Asante Samuel Jr. in coverage. It's tight coverage, but Asante dives, doesn't get the pass breakup. Nas Adderley misses a tackle there, and Travis Kelce scores. They're down their top 2 receivers, 3 of their top 4 receivers by the end of the game because Tony went out with that hamstring injury. You just can't let that guy beat you. And I think in that moment, Brandon Staley is thinking, I'm going to put Derwin on him, and I expect the player that we paid a lot of money this offseason to come up in clutch moments to cover him. And for the first time all game, he wasn't able to. A lot of these other big plays to Kelce, which was the big issue in the game, came without Derwin on him. Asante Samuel Jr. got beat twice in man coverage for passes over 25 yards. And then for whatever reason, they had Kenneth Murray guarding Travis Kelce in man-to-man, and that play went for 34 yards. And listen, I think everyone's been way too critical of Kenneth Murray. I think he's taken a big step this year. I feel like he's been really good in run defense for the most part. I mean, obviously he's had some issues, but Brandon Thorne, who does a great job covering offensive line play, he tweeted out something the other day, which I thought was really, really smart, which is it's not black and white, right? I feel like when we're talking about players in the NFL, it's either this player is good or this player is bad, and it's one or the other. And it's not that. It's a spectrum. There are elite players, there are god-awful players, and then there are players who are somewhere in the middle, who are adequate or solid or below average, right? But not awful and not great, but they do good things. They have parts of their skill set that can be used efficiently and productively in certain parts of your scheme. And that's what Kenneth Murray is. A decent blitzer, plays with a lot of energy. He hits hard. And that is a good piece to have. Now, does he make mistakes? Sure. But the thing that I can't understand is that's the last thing you want Kenneth Murray doing. I understand matching him one-on-one with a running back. I think he's done that effectively at times this season, but putting him in man coverage on the best tight end, arguably, that's ever played the game, I don't understand that. So they were obviously trying to mix their coverages. They were trying to throw different bodies at Travis Kelce and keep him off balance, but it felt like only having Derwin James matched up in man coverage on Travis Kelce 4 times in the game, that felt a little light, and if you know that guy's the one that can't beat you, either double him or put Derwin on him on every play. And there were just too many plays where he was single covered against guys that weren't Derwin James, whether that's Kenneth Murray or Asante Samuel Jr., and he made them pay there. And yeah, Brandon Staley said today they were contested. They were playing a ton of man coverage, which is the game plan that Staley wants to deploy against the Chiefs. A lot of man coverage and then blitz him and try and get Mahomes off his spot. It worked in week 2. It did not work, this past week. Not necessarily the man coverage part, but they were not able to sustain pressure. So in the first quarter, they had a 40% pressure rate, and then it dropped to 26% over the rest of the game. The blitzes weren't getting home, and Mahomes absolutely carved up the blitz, which is the book on him. But if you're able to design these blitzes, disguise them, it worked. And that was a hugely successful thing for the Chargers when they were able to sort of limit this offense in week 2, but it didn't come fruition in this week. And I felt like you had too many plays there where Kelce had a clear mismatch against the guy that was guarding him. Offensively, I thought it was fine. It was one of their better games of the season statistically. Overall, right? Herbert threw the ball well. They were efficient. They ran it fine, right? I don't think at any point this season that you're going to have a great rushing offense, but they ran it well enough. In terms of EPA per drive, EPA per play, they were solid. Overall, I mean, it was their lowest 3-and-out rate of the season. They converted twice in goal-to-go situations. They converted almost 60% of their third downs. So overall, like when you look at the full picture of the offensive performance, I thought it was good. It was solid. The issue with the offense is that they are a completely different unit in the first half. Man, there's so many. You guys are in the chat. Let me finish before you guys start commenting. All right. I was literally about to get to this point. The issue with the offense is that they are a completely different unit in the first half as opposed to the second half. And I looked up the numbers here, so I got them written down. They are third in the NFL in offensive points scored in the first half of games. They are 28th in the NFL in offensive points scored in the second half. They are 5th in the NFL in EPA per drive in the first half. They are 27th in the NFL in EPA per drive in second halves. So something's going on, right? And I'm not in the meetings. I don't know the game plans. I can just watch what I see live, watch what I see on film. But obviously it brings up the question, like, what is happening between the first half and the second half that is turning them from a top 5 offense in the league into a bottom 5 offense in the league? And like I always say, like, it's not one thing, right? You can't just pin it on one thing. Some of it's execution, some of it's play calling, some of it's game script, all that stuff matters, but they're obviously not making the requisite adjustments from the first half to the second half. I think anyone would admit that. So in this game, and right, like every game is different too. So like in this game, I feel like the protection got a lot worse in the second half. Herbert was pressured on over 60% of his dropbacks in the second half of the game. And that number was in the 20s in the first half. So the protection broke down. And then I think the other thing here is that for whatever reason, Lombardi got away from the play action game. It's where Herbert is at his best is when you can get him into play action, roll him outside the pocket. I mean, they hit Josh Palmer on the 50-yard touchdown. Herbert was 11 of 13 for 147 yards and a touchdown on play action in the first half. And and Herbert was using play action on 60% of his dropbacks in the first half. That number decreased to 35.7% in the second half. And the same thing happened last week. And I asked Joe Lombardi about it. Why did you get away from play action? Because last week they dropped Herbert back on play action on 41.2% of his dropbacks, and it dropped to 22.2% in the second half. 2 play action dropbacks out of 9 dropbacks. I don't know why they're going away from the play action game. Like, again, some of it is game script, but you go through what happened in this game, and it really was 2 drives there. It was 2 drives early in the third quarter because they started moving it okay on that third drive before Keenan Allen fumbled. I mean, they were getting close to the red zone. And so you look at it and you get into the specifics, right? So you come out of halftime, you have the holding penalty on Nick Niemann and Dean Leonard off that kickoff. And so the Chargers start from their own 11. Eckler run on first down for 4 yards. Second down, Herbert hits Josh Palmer for a first down. It was a good throw on a slant. And then next play, they got a play action boot to the right. They were looking to hit Josh Palmer on a shot play to the post. He's double covered. Herbert checked down to Carter along the sideline. That's a pickup of 4. So now you're at 2nd and 6. Had 3 productive plays. And then there was a handoff to Isaiah Spiller that got blown up in the backfield for a loss of 1. And that was really on Richard Rodgers. Just missed a block there on the right side. And so Isaiah Spiller loses 1 yard. 3rd and 7, Trey Pipkins gets called for a false start. And then you're in a 3rd and long, and Matt Filer and Jamari Salyer got beat on a stunt over there on the left side, and that's a sack, and that's a punt. Next possession, they tried that play action pitch, rolling Herbert out to the right. He sniffed that out. Herbert throws it away. Then Justin is able to hit Keenan Allen on a hot read. They brought a blitz out of the slot. So then you're facing 3rd and 1, and they set up in shotgun, and they hand off to Eckler to the right side, and Chris Jones just absolutely blows up the play. Matt Filer was supposed to pull from left to right, and Chris Jones shot through with his penetration so fast that he was able to cut off Feiler on the pull. They didn't have the numbers to the side. Eckler's dropped. It's 4th and inches. And, Staley obviously decides to punt there, which I thought was a peculiar decision, head-scratching decision. I did not agree with it. They absolutely should have gone for it in that situation. But obviously, Brandon Staley is not the same decision maker this year. That's pretty clear. So it's really those 2 drives. It's those 2 drives, and they did attempt to, use some play action on those drives. But that's really what you're looking at. If you want to focus in on, what didn't work offensively, what were the poor drives offensively, like that, when you go play by play, that's what happened. And so it's a combination of a lot of things. But otherwise, they moved the ball well. They're moving the ball in the next drive into Chiefs territory, and Keenan fumbles there on the screen pass, and then the next drive is the touchdown drive where Justin Herbert hits Keenan Allen on that long shot down the right sideline. So I really thought the issue in this game was defensively. They didn't stop the run. They didn't contain Kelsey. They didn't make the plays when they needed to make them. They didn't get off the field on 3rd downs, 3rd and long. I mean, the Chiefs were 4 of 5 on 3rd and 7+ in the game. They didn't get enough pressure, sustained pressure on Patrick Mahomes, and I just didn't think the defensive game plan really expressed itself, as Staley would say. And so, offensively, I thought it was fine. I just think the issue is they're not scoring the ball in the second half, and the numbers show it. So something's not happening in the second half for this offense. All right, let's go to questions. Do I think safety is in need with Adderley and Woods both having mental lapses and not being able to tackle? Also, what are the odds we retain Adderley? We'll see what happens with JT Woods. He's kind of just started playing defensively. I know that PFF had a missed tackle on him. I can't recall that missed tackle. So, I got to watch the film and figure out where exactly that happened. Right now he's literally playing like deep safety. Like when he's out there, they are saying guard the post, play single high, and defend the deep part of the field. Like that's like the crux of his responsibilities right now. Nas Adderley, he's just inconsistent. And it's unfortunate because he has a lot of skills that you really like at safety. Like I love the physicality that he plays with. I love the aggression. I think he has really good instincts in terms of breaking on the ball. I think he's a good coverage player. But at that position, like you have to be a strong tackler, especially when you are the guy there. When they move Derwin around as much as they move him around, like a lot of the times Nas Adderley is the last man back. And in order to play safety consistently in the NFL, you have to be able to make those tackles. And he's missed too many of them. And that's really what it comes down to. So I don't know what they do there. I mean, I think I wrote about it after they took JT Woods. Obviously you draft a player in the 3rd round. That's his best skill set is playing free safety and playing in the deep part of the field. That obviously is an indication of what you think about the player in front of him and giving yourself a contingency plan. We'll see how JT Woods develops over the rest of the year. Is he a guy that they can trust to be that second safety next to Derwin James? Right now, I don't know if they're going to re-sign Nasir Adderley. I would lean towards no right now, just based on the way he's playing. And again, he's not a Brandon Staley pick. And so that's also part of it too. JT Woods is a Brandon Staley pick. Nasir Adderley was drafted by the Anthony Lynn regime. And so that's also part of the calculus here. But I think, the story is still to be written there. All right, what's with the goal line play calling that leads to field goals? So they converted twice in goal to go. Eckler had the touchdown run. And I thought that was actually a good sequence because they really just kind of jammed it in there. Like they felt like their offensive line was getting pushed, and they were able to. I think it was like 4 straight runs. Let me find them. Yeah, I mean they went 1st and 10 from the Kansas City 13. Eckler run. 2nd and 4 from the 7. Eckler run down to the 4. 3rd and 1 from the 4. They had a Xander Horvath fullback dive for a first, and they handed off to Eckler. So, yeah, it was 4 straight runs, really 5 straight runs, because they had the Isaiah Spiller first down run from the 25 where Zion Johnson had a great block to open up a big hole there. And so I was fine with that play calling. They felt they were moving it on the ground, and they trusted their offensive line to get enough push to get in the end zone. That was one of the successful goal-to-goes, and then the other successful one was Justin Herbert hitting Joshua Palmer for the go-ahead touchdown there. And then, the one at the end of the half was pretty tough because they got it in there. They went tempo from the 11. Ekeler broke that run to the left and almost scored. And then on 2nd and 1 from the 2, they pitched to Ekeler to the right, and the blocking on the right side just broke down. I don't know who was supposed to take the man, but whether it was Zion, whether it was Trey Pipkins, whether it was, Keenan Allen was out there, DeAndre Carter was out there in a condensed formation, whatever happened, they didn't block the defensive end over there, and that resulted in a tackle for loss. And then you're at 3rd and 2, and the protection broke down there in that 3rd and 2. Herbert was pressured, somehow was able to get the throw off to Keenan, and that fell incomplete. So, we can criticize the play calling there, right? As always, I don't necessarily love the short yardage pitch plays. We've talked about that. But yeah, 3rd and 2, there was pressure there, and I'm trying to remember where that pressure came from, but I can't. So that's what you're talking about with go to goal. I mean, we could talk about specific play calls. I don't know if the pitch was the right call there, but overall, I mean, they scored twice out of 3 times when they were down there. It's been an issue all season. And in that game, like Austin Ekeler said it to me after the 49ers game, like when you're playing a really good team, you have to play a perfect game. And against this team, when you are inside the 5-yard line, you got to score touchdowns. And that falls on everyone on the offense. It falls on execution. It falls on play calling because they didn't get it done. Is it fair to criticize Herbert on throwing 2 picks 2 weeks in a row to lose the game? No, it is not fair. In the first one, there was pressure. He got hit as he threw. The second one, this week, 31 seconds from your own 25. I don't know if there are great odds that you're going to score a touchdown there. I know everyone sees Patrick Mahomes do it every week, but not everyone is Patrick Mahomes. And so he saw Keenan coming open on an out route, and he decided to give him a chance. Like at that point, he took the sack on 1st down because he, saw an opening, saw the Chiefs dropping back, and felt like he could pick up a few yards. Probably tried to run a little bit too early, ran into his own offensive lineman, gets sacked. Sure, throw it away there and live to fight another day on 3rd down, but you've got Keenan potentially open on an out route, and you got to move the ball. You got to find yards. So, it's a tough situation, and the quarterback's pushing the ball, and you're trying to fit the ball into tight windows. Justin Herbert is fine. He played really well in this game. I just don't it's frustrating to me because I feel like people go on TV and talk about this stuff, and they're just looking at the box score. If you're paid to talk about this stuff, do your research and figure out what is actually happening so you can talk educatedly about this stuff as opposed to just throwing shit against the wall because people are going to talk about it. That's silly to me. But people watch it. People watch it. So, but I'm telling you, he played great. Justin Herbert is not the issue. He played fantastic. He made a lot of huge plays in this game. He did everything he needed to do. He led that drive. He converted to Allen on the 3rd and 18 with an unbelievable throw. Threw off his back foot to Joshua Palmer for the touchdown. That was an outstanding throw because there's pressure in his face. I don't have the numbers for you, but I can promise you that in that situation, 31 seconds left, 3 timeouts at your own 25-yard line, needing a field goal. There's just not that many guys that do it consistently, especially at this stage of their career. He's in his 3rd season, especially without his starting left tackle and without his number 2 receiver and without his top 2 tight ends. So, I don't think it's a decision-making thing at all. What are you supposed to do in that situation? You got to try and make a play. And he, threw it up and hoped Keenan would make a play. But, throw it away there, make a good decision, and then what? Facing a 3rd and 13? What is there any certainty that Keenan's going to be more open on the next play than he was on that play? Do the Chargers take their foot off the gas when they're up in the game? I don't know. I feel like that's a cliche. Like, this is kind of what I'm talking about, right? You can sit here and be like, they took their foot off the gas. What does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Because you can say they took their foot off the gas and speak in generalities, or you can go look at the play-by-play and go rewatch the game and figure out what happened. Did they take their foot off the gas? I don't know if that happened because they called a play action shot play on the first drive of the third quarter. They tried to hit Josh Palmer on a post. That's stuff in the plan where they're trying to push the ball down the field. Like, I don't know if that's taking your foot off the gas. It didn't work, but I don't think they're getting conservative. I think they have, like, there's been moments, right, where I feel like they probably leaned into the run game too much, like that Raiders game in week 1. But overall, like, I don't think it's as easy as saying they took their foot off the grass. Like, there's specific things that are happening that are leading to 3 and outs, leading to punts, leading to inefficient offense. And I think it's more valuable to talk about those specific things than to just speak in generalities and say, well, Justin Herbert threw another fourth quarter interception. Well, what were the circumstances? But I'll be the first one to tell you that the second half offense is a major issue. 100%. But I don't think it's as easy as saying they took their foot off the gas. Like, there are specific things that are happening, right? Tight ends miss a block. Penetration, 1 yard loss on 2nd and 6. Like that, let's talk about that. I don't think, like, speaking in generalities is really productive for anybody. Does Filer stay on the team next year with how he has played so far? I don't think so. I gotta look this up, actually. Yeah, so they can save $6.5 million in the cap by cutting Filer after this season, and that seems like an option given how Filer has played. Pop, do we finally have a kicker controversy Dicker has not missed? Heading into this game, I didn't think there was one, but I was watching this game back and I'm like, why would you move on from this kid? He's nails. He's not missed a kick in his NFL career. But, ultimately, I think that with the way Hopkins kicked last year, I think he sort of earned that spot, but it's worth a question this week. Absolutely. So I'll ask it. Mike Williams back next week. We'll see. I mean, he made that outstanding catch along the sideline and, the toe tap catch and tweaked the ankle there. So I'd be surprised if he plays this week, but we'll know more on Wednesday. Bosa's time frame to return. Brandon Staley did not have any update on his timeline today, so no new news there. I think he'll be back this season, but when, I don't know for sure. I think I had said Miami. I think that's probably like the earliest you would see him. Wyatt, can you stop spamming that? Ken Dorsey, head coach, Shane Day, OC, Rivers, quarterback coach, Fangio, DC, JoJo, and GM. There's a 0% chance that would happen. Because when you hire a head coach, you don't promote from within. Philip Rivers is not coming back to coach for the Chargers. And you're going to hire a defensive coordinator that runs the same scheme as the head coach you just fired. So please stop spamming. Thank you. Yeah, a lot of coaching questions. I can't give you guys a real answer on hot seat or any of that stuff. It really depends. The old adage is 500 at Thanksgiving. Oh, there goes Debo. Gone. Touchdown. Didn't do that to the Chargers. The old adage is 500 at Thanksgiving and see what happens, right? I mean, I was looking through it today. They're 24th in team DVOA, overall DVOA, which is insane. The 8 teams worse than them in DVOA. You ready for this? The Las Vegas Raiders are in 25th at 3-7. The Denver Broncos are 26th at 3-7. The Rams are 27th at 3-7. The Bears are 3-8. They're in 28th. Cardinals 29th at 4-6. The Colts 30th at 4-6-1. The Panthers 31st at 3-8. And the Texans in dead last at 1-8-1. 8 teams. The Chargers play 5 of them over the rest of the season. Raiders, Broncos, Rams, Cardinals, Colts. So of their 7 games remaining, they play 5 of the 8 worst teams in the NFL. So like I said earlier, I mean, this story is yet to be written. And there are tons of issues, and we've talked about them, but nothing is going to be decided on the coaching staff, on the GM, until the season gets played out. They're going to see what happens, and then they're going to make a decision when it's all said and done. And so you guys are going to have to wait on that. But the schedule is easy the rest of the way. I mean, the other 2 games are Miami, really good team, and the Titans, who somehow are good. I mean, it's Mike Vrabel, right? So those are really the 2 tough games. The rest of the games are all winnable. That gets you to 10, right? 10-7. So a lot of football left to be played. Had you heard about Stone Smart? Well, if you read my OTA reports in the spring, you would have known that Stone Smart was one of the standouts of spring practices and caught 3 passes and 7-on-7 in one day. So, yes, I had heard of him, and all of the Athletic subscribers in the chat had also heard about him. If you read OTA reports in May. So the real diehards out there. Oh, Bernie B. Ain't nobody paying for the Athletic. Screenshot that. Oh, this is moving too fast. I can't get a screenshot of it. Got it. All right. Ain't nobody paying for the Athletic. I think there's like 1.4 million people that pay for the Athletic, but who cares about facts, you know? No bans. We're not banning today. We're not banning. Donald Parham's still a bit away from returning. So he's been back out on the practice field, just starting to work with trainers and stuff. But yeah, last update we got was that he's not particularly close. Yeah. Sage, you're right. My fiance did tell me to stop chanting ban at the top of my lungs. She said it's a little bit extra. So unfortunately, we're not going to be chanting ban unless we do these streams without her here, but she's outside the door. And I don't want to walk outside and have her be like, "What were you doing in there?" I was banning people, okay? You can't just ban people quietly. You have to ban them with some bravado. You have to make a spectacle of the ban. Or else, what are we even doing here? All right. Beer's done. Pops are done. Pop's done. What do we got this week? It's Thanksgiving on Thursday. Go spend some time with your families. Don't think we're going to do a film review this week. I'll have like an extended Friday notebook with all of my thoughts and takes and stuff I gather in the locker room and stuff. But I'm thinking no film review. We'll see. Just going to be tough to get it done before Thanksgiving. But yeah. So keep an eye out for the Friday notebook. Eat some turkey. Eat some stuffing. Have a few hops. Maybe some Buffalo Trace bourbon. Something nicer if you're rich. Love you all. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll talk to you guys next week.